Imagine finding something old, something simple, that changes your entire life. That's exactly what happened to Maya. It was a rainy Saturday afternoon. Maya, a young photographer just starting out, was digging through a dusty little thrift store on the edge of town. She didn't have much money, but she loved collecting vintage things, especially cameras. In the corner, under a stack of old books and cracked photo frames, she spotted it. A 35mm film camera. It was scratched up, the strap was worn, and the lens cap was missing. But something about it called to her. The price tag? Just $10. She held it in her hands, turned it over, and felt a strange chill. It was cold, much colder than everything else in the store. But she laughed it off. Maybe it was just the AC. Maya took it home, cleaned it up, loaded it with fresh film, and decided to test it the next morning in the park. She took photos of trees, birds, children playing, simple stuff. Normal, peaceful, or so she thought. She got the film developed the next day, and that's when she saw it. In one photo of a man walking his dog, there was something behind him, a blurry shape. It looked like a person, but not quite. No face, just a black figure standing still among the trees. Maya frowned. She was sure no one had been there when she took the photo. Must be a glitch, she whispered. Old film. Bad light. Nothing to worry about. But that was only the first picture. And what she didn't know was that the camera she found was never meant to be used again. Sometimes, when you look at a picture, you don't see the truth until later. After seeing that strange shadow in her first photo, Maya told herself it was nothing. Maybe a trick of the light. Maybe someone walked past quickly and she didn't notice. But something inside her didn't feel right. Still, she pushed the thought away. She had more film to shoot. The next day, Maya returned to the same park. She took pictures again. Flowers, benches, birds flying, the sunrise. Everything seemed calm, normal. But just like before, when she developed the film, the photos weren't what she expected. In one picture of a playground, she saw a figure standing in the corner, far in the background. It was the same shape, same black clothes, still no face. It gave her chills. Maya blinked at the photo and leaned in closer. The figure wasn't just standing there. It was looking straight at the camera. But that's not possible, she thought. I didn't see anyone there. She flipped through the next few pictures, and her hands began to shake. In every photo, the figure was getting closer. First in the distance, then near a tree, then beside a bench. And finally, in the last photo, it was standing just a few feet behind a man who was tying his shoelaces. Maya gasped. She remembered that man. He smiled at her when she walked past. She even said hello, but she never saw anyone behind him. And the worst part? The shadow's face was still a blur. No eyes, no mouth, just darkness. She checked the lens. No dust, no cracks. She searched online for any photography errors that might cause something like this. Nothing matched. Maya tried to ignore it. She told herself not to overthink. Maybe it was just some stranger. Maybe she was just tired. But deep down, she felt something was watching her. That night, as she lay in bed, she looked at the photos one more time. And then her phone buzzed. It was a new photo notification, but she hadn't taken any pictures. Her heart started pounding. She opened the photo. It was dark, blurry. A photo taken from inside her bedroom. She dropped the phone. Her hands trembled as she looked around the room. No one there. Door locked. Windows shut. She checked the camera. The power was off. The film roll hadn't even been used. So who took that photo? And more importantly, what else could this camera do? The figure wasn't just in the pictures anymore. Something had followed her home. Maya couldn't sleep. Every time she closed her eyes, She saw that faceless figure standing in her room closer than before. She kept the lights on all night. The camera sat on her desk across the room, looking harmless, silent, but she knew better now. The next morning, she made a decision. She had to find out where the camera came from. She went back to the same dusty thrift store. It was quiet, almost too quiet. The bell on the door rang, but no one greeted her. The air inside smelled like mold and old books. After waiting for a few minutes, an old man appeared from behind the curtain. Thin, gray beard, eyes tired, but the moment he saw her, he froze. "You bought the camera, didn't you?" he asked. Maya was surprised. "How did you know?" He didn't answer right away. Instead, he slowly walked to the counter and said in a low voice, "That camera shouldn't have been on the shelf. It was supposed to be destroyed years ago." Maya's heart skipped a beat. "But what's wrong with it?" The man looked down, almost afraid to speak. "It was found at a crime scene over 20 years ago." Now Maya felt cold all over. "What crime?" she asked, her voice shaking. He hesitated, then said, "A man, the photographer, lived alone in a small cabin outside of town. Police found over 100 rolls of film. All of them had pictures of people who had gone missing. Strangers, children, couples, tourists, all smiling, all unaware of the camera. But in every photo, somewhere in the background, was that same shadow. That thing." Maya was frozen. The police said the man had gone mad. The shopkeeper continued. "They found strange writings all over the walls of his cabin. He said the camera showed him the next one, that it chose the next victim." "And then?" Maya asked. The man's voice dropped to a whisper. "They found his body a week later, face frozen in fear, eyes wide open, camera in his hands." Maya could barely breathe. "Why was the camera in your store?" she asked. "I don't know," he said. "It disappeared from the evidence room. No one saw it again until you found it." Maya backed away, her mind spinning. Everything made sense now. The figure, the strange photos, the picture from her bedroom. Something was inside the camera, and it had started again with her. Before she left, the shopkeeper said one last thing. "If you keep that camera, more people will vanish, just like before." But Maya didn't reply. She was already out the door. She wanted to believe this was just a story, just a ghost tale. But as she walked back to her apartment, her phone buzzed again. Another photo. She opened it slowly. It was of her, taken from behind. And the figure? Closer than ever. When Maya reached her apartment, her hands were shaking. She locked the door, then locked it again, then checked every window. She placed the old camera in a drawer and slammed it shut. But she knew it wasn't over. She sat down on her bed and opened her laptop. She typed in the name the shopkeeper had written down, Peter Klein, the photographer who once owned the camera. The search results were disturbing. Old newspaper headlines flashed on the screen. Bodies still missing after cabin discovery. Serial photographer's victims remain unidentified. Authorities discover creepy photo collection. There were grainy black and white photos in some articles. Maya's breath caught when she saw them. Each picture had people smiling. Couples, families, tourists. But in the background, sometimes in the corner, sometimes near a window, there it was again. That faceless figure, sometimes tall, sometimes crouched, but always watching. As Maya scrolled further, one article stood out. It said that several people, detectives, journalists, even a museum worker who once handled Peter Klein's belongings, had gone missing over the years. No signs, no bodies, just vanished. And every one of them had touched that camera. Maya closed the laptop and stared at the drawer where she had hidden it. Had she already gone too far? Suddenly, her phone buzzed again. Another photo. This time, it wasn't her. It was her neighbor, Mrs. Dela Cruz, the kind, elderly woman who always left baked cookies at Maya's door. She was standing outside her apartment in the photo, smiling at the camera. But Maya hadn't taken that photo. And there it was again, the figure standing in the shadows behind her. Maya ran to the door, opened it. Mrs. Dela Cruz's door was slightly open. She called her name. No answer. Pushed the door open slowly. Inside, the TV was still on. A cup of tea still warm on the table. But no one was there. No signs of struggle. No goodbye note. Just gone. Maya's heart dropped. She was next. Or worse, someone else would be next. And the camera? It was choosing. One photo at a time. Maya didn't sleep that night. She sat in her kitchen with the drawer open, staring at the camera as if it might move on its own. She kept asking herself the same question. Why was this happening to her? And why did it feel like the camera was alive? She decided to check the camera again, hoping maybe there was a clue she missed. Her fingers trembled as she pulled it out. It felt heavier now, colder. She opened the back flap and noticed something strange. Inside was a roll of undeveloped film. Not one of hers. An old one. She didn't remember loading it. Had it always been there? Without thinking, she grabbed her coat and rushed out into the night, heading for the only place that could help, an old photo lab 2 streets away. The lab was open late, run by an old man named Malik who used to work with film cameras his whole life. When Maya handed him the roll, he squinted at it. This is very old, he muttered. I'll see what I can do. She waited, pacing the room, while Malik went into the darkroom. 10 minutes passed, then 20, then 30. Finally, he came out, his face pale, his hands shaking. He didn't say a word, just handed Maya the envelope of developed photos. She opened it slowly and froze. There were people in the pictures, people she didn't know, different ages, different cities, some inside their homes, some walking down the street. In each photo, the same figure appeared, closer and clearer each time, until the last photo. In that one, Maya couldn't breathe. It was her, standing in her apartment, holding the camera, just like she was yesterday. But the photo was old, faded, like it had been taken years ago. And behind her, standing almost over her shoulder, the faceless figure. She dropped the envelope. Malik asked, "Where did you get this camera?" Maya could barely speak. "A thrift shop near the old bus station." Malik stepped back slowly, eyes wide. "That shop closed down 5 years ago," he whispered. "It burned down. No one survived." Maya turned pale. Then how did she buy the camera just a week ago? Her legs felt weak. Her mind was spinning. Was the camera returning to the living? Or had it never really left the dead? One thing was now clear. This wasn't about photos anymore. This was about her. Maya didn't go home. She couldn't. She walked through the quiet streets, gripping the camera tightly in her coat pocket. Her thoughts were racing, but one thing was clear now. This camera wasn't just haunted. It was hunting. She needed answers, real ones. No more guessing. She remembered something the shopkeeper had said that first day. "This camera sees more than we do." But how? What? Maya took out her phone and searched for the name again. Peter Klein. She scrolled past the same articles until one new link caught her attention. Klein's personal studio, now abandoned, still standing. It was just outside town, a place no one visited anymore. But maybe, just maybe, the truth was still there. The next morning, Maya made the trip. She found the building hidden behind trees, an old brick studio with broken windows and a rotting front door. The sign above was faded, but still visible. Klein photography, moments that last forever. She stepped inside. Dust hung in the air. The wood creaked beneath her feet. The smell of chemicals was faint, but still there, old photo paper, developer fluid, decay. She walked slowly down a hallway, passing faded portraits on the wall. Smiling families, couples in love, but every photo had something off. In each one, a smudge, a shadow, a blur, like something or someone was watching from behind. The hallway led to a locked door. On it, a faded sticker read, "Darkroom, do not enter during development." Maya pushed it open. The inside was pitch black, except for a faint red glow from a cracked light bulb above. She turned it on and looked around. Chemicals still sat on the shelves. Photo paper was scattered on the counter, and on the far wall, hundreds of photos, pinned up like a giant collage. Some were burned, others were scratched through, but one thing was the same in all of them. That figure, the same faceless, dark shape. It looked like it was walking, getting closer with each picture. She stepped closer and gasped. One of the photos on the wall was her. Not a copy. The exact photo from her apartment. She didn't know how it was here. She never printed it, never showed it to anyone. Then, from behind her, a click. The sound of a shutter. She turned around. No one. But the camera in her coat pocket was warm. Hot, actually. It buzzed faintly, like it had just taken a photo on its own. She slowly pulled it out. The lens was glowing faint red. Then another click. She didn't press anything. And suddenly, a photo printed from the small back slot. A function she didn't even know the camera had. Maya picked it up with shaking hands. It was a photo of the darkroom. But now, she wasn't alone in the picture. Behind her, in the corner, was the figure. Closer than ever. Watching her. Waiting. She dropped the photo and ran. Out the door. Through the hallway. Into the daylight. She didn't look back. But deep down, she knew. The camera wasn't just capturing ghosts. It was creating them. Maya didn't sleep that night. She sat on her bedroom floor, lights on, camera locked inside a metal box under her bed. But still, she could feel it. Watching her. Waiting. She kept hearing the sound of the shutter in her head. She knew she had to go back to the beginning. To the one person who might know the full truth. The old shopkeeper. She got there early the next morning. The street was still empty, fog curling between the buildings. The shop door was locked. She knocked. No answer. She knocked harder. After a minute, the lock clicked, and the old man opened the door just a little. His eyes widened when he saw her. "You still have it, don't you?" he whispered. Maya nodded. He sighed deeply and opened the door wider. "Come in. But you won't like what I have to say." Inside, the shop felt colder than before. Dustier. He poured tea but didn't touch his own cup. "The camera belonged to Peter Klein," he began. "He wasn't just a photographer. He believed he could trap moments. Trap souls." Maya's eyes widened. The shopkeeper continued. "Klein thought taking a photo of someone captured part of their spirit. That's why people started disappearing." Maya whispered, "What do you mean?" He leaned forward. "People who went to his studio. Some were never seen again. Others changed, became shadows of who they were. He said his camera could preserve people." Maya pulled out the printed photo of herself in the darkroom, the figure behind her. She laid it on the counter. The shopkeeper's face turned pale. "He's marked you now," he said. Maya's hands trembled. "Is it him? The figure?" "I believe it is," he said slowly. "His spirit, trapped in his own camera, feeding on those who use it. Each photo brings him closer." She wanted to throw up. "There must be a way to stop it," she said. "There might be," he said carefully. "But it's risky." Maya looked at him, her voice firm. "Tell me." He took a deep breath. "You must take one final picture. Of him. Not a blur. Not a shadow. A full image. But you must lure him into the open." "How?" "Go where it all started. The place where he died. Where he burned the last victim's photo." Maya's voice shook. "The old studio?" The shopkeeper nodded. "At midnight, that's when the veil is thinnest." Maya left the shop with a racing heart and one plan in her mind. Face the phantom and the nightmare. But deep inside, something else whispered. The camera doesn't want to be destroyed. And neither does he. The wind howled like a scream as Maya stood in front of the abandoned building. It was the old studio. Peter Klein's studio. The place where it all began. Midnight was just minutes away. The sky above was covered in thick clouds. No stars. No moon. Just darkness. She took a deep breath and stepped inside. The air was thick with dust and old memories. The floor creaked beneath her. Each step echoed through the empty halls like a warning. She followed the directions the shopkeeper gave her. Down a narrow hallway, past broken mirrors and faded portraits, to a door sealed with heavy chains. Her fingers trembled as she unlocked it with the old key. The room smelled like smoke, like burnt chemicals and old photographs. It was Peter Klein's darkroom, the place where he developed more than just pictures. Maya pulled out the cursed camera. "This ends tonight," she whispered. She set up the camera on a tripod. The red light above the door flickered on its own. Then the temperature dropped. Ice cold. She felt it again, that strange pull, that weight on her chest, like someone standing behind her. She turned. No one. But when she looked into the camera lens, there he was, Peter, a figure in the reflection. Eyes black as night, smiling. The room went silent. Then came the whisper. "So, broken. Take the shot." Maya's hands shook. She pressed the shutter. The flash exploded like lightning. And suddenly, everything changed. The walls began to bleed. Not with blood, but with images, faces of people who had been taken by the camera. Trapped souls, staring, screaming silently from the walls. Peter stepped forward. Not in the lens now. In the room. He looked alive. But wrong. His face didn't move like it should. His smile stretched too far. "You called me," he said. His voice echoed like it came from a deep cave. "I came to stop you," Maya said, raising the camera. Peter laughed. "You came too late. Now you're part of the collection." The walls shook. The door slammed shut. The camera sparked in Maya's hand. She aimed it at him. "Tired of hiding, Peter?" Another click. This time, Peter screamed. Light burst from the lens. The screaming grew louder. The trapped faces on the walls started pulling Peter back, grabbing, clawing, dragging him toward the camera. "No," he roared. "I made this. I am forever." But they didn't stop. And just like that, he was gone. The room went quiet. Maya fell to her knees, breathing hard, the camera now cracked and smoking. But was it over? As she reached for the camera, the shutter clicked on its own. Her eyes widened, because when she looked at the last photo on the film, she saw herself. But it wasn't her current self. It was her, standing in the dark, with that same twisted smile Peter wore. And behind her, 1,000 faces. Still watching. Still waiting. Maya ran. She didn't care about the rules anymore. The cursed camera bounced against her side as she sprinted down the empty road. She didn't stop until she reached the old bridge outside the city. Far from anyone, far from anything. The storm had returned. Rain poured from the sky like the heavens were trying to wash away the past. She threw the camera down onto the wet ground. It cracked again, but didn't break. Maya picked up a rock. She slammed it down. Again and again. But the camera wouldn't die. It just lay there, humming, almost like it was breathing. She heard a sound. Not thunder. A voice. So, whispering from the lens. Maya. Her name. It called her name. She stepped back, heart pounding. The camera's shutter clicked by itself. The screen flashed. And suddenly, Maya saw her childhood bedroom. Her mother. Her brother. All smiling. Now, but smiling. Another click. She saw the friend she lost in high school. The teacher who mentored her. The old neighbor who gave her candy. All gone, but all smiling. And one by one, their smiles faded, replaced with terror. They weren't happy. They were trapped. And now she understood. Peter never controlled the camera. He was just the first victim. He was something else. Something older. Something that fed on memories. On faces. On souls. And once you used it, it owned you. Forever. Maya picked it up slowly. Water dripped from her hands. She stared into the lens. Her reflection smiled back at her. But she wasn't smiling. Not anymore. The rain fell harder. She walked to the edge of the bridge. And without another word, she threw the camera into the river. It disappeared beneath the dark water. Gone. Maybe, maybe not. Because as the screen fades to black, we see a young boy a few days later walking along the riverbank. He stops, bends down, picks something up. A camera. What? But still working. He looks into the lens. And the story begins again. Days passed. Maya tried to forget, tried to move on. But the camera was never far from her mind. She had destroyed it, or so she thought. But some things don't stay buried. One rainy evening, Maya sat alone in her apartment. The lights flickered. The thunder roared outside. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. A message. No words. Just a photo. She opened it. It was a picture of her. But she hadn't taken it. Behind her in the photo stood a shadow. Smiling. Peter's smile. Her heart froze. Then her phone clicked. Like a camera shutter. She spun around. No one was there. But the air was cold. And she knew. The camera was still watching. Still waiting. For its next victim. The lens never closes. The story never ends. And somewhere, in the dark, the phantom photographer waits.